The inheritance the day I found the second passport in my mother's safety deposit box, I realized my entire childhood had been a carefully constructed lie. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning, from the day everything I thought I knew about my family shattered like glass. My name is Sarah Chen, and for 32 years, I believed I was the daughter of Margaret Chen, a respected hospital administrator who raised me alone after my father supposedly died in a construction accident when I was 2. Mom never remarried. She worked 60-hour weeks, put me through college, and never once complained about the sacrifices she made. I worshipped her. When she died suddenly of a stroke last March, I was devastated. The funeral was small, just me, a few colleagues from the hospital, and our neighbor Mrs. Patterson, who had known us for 20 years. As I stood by her grave, I thought I knew everything about the woman we were burying. I was wrong. The lawyer's office smelled of leather and old books. Mr. Harrison had been Mom's attorney for decades, a tall man in his 70s with kind eyes that seemed to hold secrets. He slid a key across his mahogany desk toward me. "Your mother left specific instructions," he said carefully. "This key opens a safety deposit box at First National Bank. She wanted you to go there alone before we discuss the will." My hands trembled as I picked up the key. Something in his tone made my stomach clench. "What's in it?" He adjusted his glasses. "I don't know, she never told me, but she was very clear that you needed to see it first." Bank was 3 blocks away. I walked slowly, the key burning in my palm. The vault was cold and sterile, all Meadowland fluorescent lights. The clerk led me to a private room and brought out box 447. When she left, I stood there for a full minute before opening it. Inside were documents, passports, photos I'd never seen, and a letter addressed to me in Mom's handwriting. The first passport showed my mother, but the name read Elena Volkov. Russian. The photo was from the late 1980s. She looked younger, harder somehow, her eyes holding a wariness I'd never seen. The second passport was American, issued in 1991, showing the same face but with the name Margaret Chen. My breath came in short gasps. I picked up the photos. Mom, but not Mom, standing with a man I didn't recognize outside a gray Soviet-era building. More photos, official-looking, some with Cyrillic text stamped across the back. And then newspaper clippings. Articles in Russian that I couldn't read, but the photos showed the same man from the earlier pictures, lying on pavement, a dark stain spreading beneath him. I opened the letter with shaking hands. "My dearest Sarah, if you're reading this, I am gone, and it's time you knew the truth. I am not who you think I am. I am not who I pretended to be. But everything I did, every lie I told was to keep you safe." Room tilted. I sat down hard on the metal chair. "My real name is Elena Volkov. I was born in Moscow in 1958. I worked for the Soviet government in a capacity I still cannot fully disclose. In 1990, I witnessed something I should not have seen. People died because of what I knew. I had to disappear or they would have killed me too." Read faster, my heart pounding. "I defected with the help of American intelligence. They gave me a new identity, a new life in Chicago. I became Margaret Chen, a hospital administrator with a fabricated work history and a dead husband who never existed. And then, Sarah, I did something unforgivable. I stole you." The words blurred. I blinked hard. "You were not my biological daughter. You were the child of Natasha Petrova, my best friend, my only friend in those final days in Moscow. Natasha was killed because of what I knew, because they thought she was involved too. In Thekyas, I took you. You were 6 months old. I brought you with me to America and raised you as my own. I told myself I was saving you from being lost in the system, from a hard life in a collapsing country. But the truth is, I needed you. I was alone, terrified, and you gave me a reason to keep going. I couldn't breathe. The room was too small, the walls closing in. I searched for your biological father, but he had disappeared. I don't know if he's alive or dead. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm sorry I stole your identity, your heritage, your truth. But I loved you. Every single day, I loved you as fiercely as any mother could love a child. You were my daughter in every way that mattered except biology." Letter continued with details, names, dates, addresses in Moscow where I might find records. She had included a contact for a private investigator in Russia who specialized in family reunification cases. There was money in a separate account, $200,000, designated specifically for me to search for my biological family if I chose to. I hope you can forgive me someday, but I understand if you can't. Live your life, my darling girl. Be happy. That's all Eva wanted for you. Signature was just Mom, but beneath it, in smaller letters, Elena. I sat in that sterile room for an hour, maybe more. Everything I thought I knew about myself had evaporated. My name, my history, my mother, all lies. I looked at my reflection in the polished metal of the safety deposit box. Who was I? Was I Sarah Chen, American citizen, marketing consultant, daughter of Margaret? Or was I someone else entirely, a Russian child stolen from her birthright? That night, I didn't go back to Mr. Harrison's office. I went home, to the apartment Mom and I had shared until I moved out at 25, the apartment that was now mine. I walked through rooms filled with her things, seeing them differently now. The complete absence of family photos beyond the two of us. The way she never talked about her past. The Russian language books hidden in the back of her closet that I'd found once as a teenager, which she dismissed as Ahabi. I opened her laptop. She'd left me the password in the letter. Her email was ordinary, bills and work correspondence. Viewed in her documents folder, I found another folder encrypted. The password was my birthday backwards. Inside were files, reports, photos, a dossier on a man named Viktor Petrov, my biological father. Mom had lied in her letter. She knew exactly where he was. He was alive, living in St. Petersburg, remarried with 2 teenage children. My half-siblings, there were more files. Evidence that Mom or Elena had continued working with American intelligence long after her defection, providing information about Russian operations. She hadn't just been hiding. She'd been active for decades, all while pretending to be a simple hospital administrator. And then I found the video files. Recordings of Mom, dated just 3 months before her death. She was thinner, grayer, but her voice was steady. Sarah, if you found these files, then you've read the letter. What I'm about to tell you now is dangerous. And I debate whether to burden you with it, but you deserve to know everything. She paused, looking directly into the camera. Your mother, Natasha, didn't die in the crossfire of my escape. She was murdered deliberately by a man named Alexei Orlov. He's still alive. He's wealthy now, legitimate, running an energy company in Moscow. But he's the same man who pulled the trigger. I've spent 30 years gathering evidence against him, and I've finally succeeded. In this folder, you'll find everything you need to bring him to justice. My hands went numb. I'm dying, Sarah. The doctors say I have 6 months, maybe less. Brain cancer. I've decided not to tell you because I don't want you to watch me deteriorate. I want you to remember me as strong. But I'm leaving you with a choice. You can take this evidence to the authorities, both American and Russian. You can see your biological mother's killer brought justice. Or you can destroy it all and walk away. Live your life in peace. I'll support whatever you decide. Video ended. I sat in the darkness of her apartment, surrounded by the ghosts of 2 women, Margaret, the mother who raised me, and Elena, the spy who remade herself. I thought about everything she'd sacrificed. She'd given up her country, her identity, her freedom to move openly in Thurald. She'd lived in constant fear that her past would catch up with her, that someone would discover her real identity and come for both of us. And she'd done it all while raising me, loving me, giving me a normal life. I thought about Viktor Petrov, the father I never knew, living his life in Russia, unaware I existed. I thought about Hiskildrin, my half-siblings, innocent in all of this. And I thought about Natasha Petrova, my biological mother, a woman whose face I'd never seen except in one grain of photograph, murdered at 26 years old. The choice Mom left me was impossible. Justice or peace, truth or safety, I made my decision 3 days later, standing in Mr. Harrison's office. I want to move forward with the evidence, I told him. All of it. He nodded slowly. You understand what this means? Once you start this, there's no going back. Your life will change. You'll be in danger. I know, I said, but my biological mother deserves justice, and the woman who raised me spent her entire life working toward this moment. I won't let either of them down. Investigation took 18 months. Working with the FBI and Russian authorities who weren't on Orlov's payroll, we built an airtight case. The evidence Mom had gathered was meticulous. Financial records, witness statements, phone recordings. She'd been preparing for this for decades. Orlov was arrested in Moscow last month. The Russian press called it the biggest corruption case in years. His energy empire collapsed. Prosecutors estimated he'd embezzled over $500 million and was connected to 7 murders, including Natasha's. I testified via video link, telling the court who I was, who my